Welcome to Wish I Had Known, the show where hindsight meets insight. Host Jodie Lamb has worn many hats in the world of finance, from navigating the intricacies of financial planning to unraveling the mysteries of insurance claims and diving deep into the realm of structured settlements. Each episode explores the topics that make you say, if only I had known this sooner. Join the conversation as we uncover the insights that can make all the difference. This is Wish I Had Known, because knowledge is power and hindsight is 20/20.
Welcome to another episode of Wish I Had Known. Today, Lauren Mayfield is with us, a full hearts independent licensed agent helping individuals with Medicare advising. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
Oh, see, sign language. Okay, so one of the many things that we're excited to share is your amazing talent. You've got an incredible story that we'll jump into briefly, but you can say "I love you" in over 100 languages.
118 to be exact.
Amazing. Okay, so there's a reason behind this, and I would love for you to share with the audience how this started in your world. I love you is obviously a very powerful phrase, but 118 languages is impressive. Tell us about it.
It's the universal language. Love is the universal. Everyone knows this. And so I want to speak it universally. Every time I meet someone, whether they have an accent or not, I implore, what languages do you speak? Sometimes I get a raised eyebrow, and sometimes they understand that I could tell they speak something else, and they tell me. And I keep a list of every language I come across, how to say, I love you. It gets into the best stories, like how their grandmother used to tell them, or how they told their pet before their pet passed away. But it gets into the best stories, and it's such a great icebreaker. And I'm very happy to say that I'm at 118 different ways. There are hundreds of languages in India alone, so there's so many across the world. One of my favorites is Exonian, the African clicking language. I learned it in an airport layover in Germany through 4 interpreters because it's a huge honor to teach anything in Exonian. And the gentleman that taught me found out through 4 interpreters what I was asking and creating a buzz about so many languages. And he said it is an honor that I try to speak the universal language in his language. So in African clicking language of Exonian, it is.
Well done. Okay, 118 languages. You have a very unique story into your capacity to learn, and it's a story that got you into what you do best now in your profession, which we'll get into in a moment. Do you want to share your story and how your capacity for learning languages and really truly understanding Medicare came about?
I would be honored. When I was 16 years old, right before my junior year of high school, I was riding around with my best friend. We had just come back from the day before from Moody Gardens in Galveston. We were wrapping up our summer, and I was about to go to her house. I was driving. We had a car, a 99 Volkswagen Beetle to be exact, and we were driving around a little ways to her house, and we might have taken a detour. We saw a couple of cute boys that we knew, and we're like, we have to follow them. We followed them, and they'd speed up, and we'd speed up, and it was a game of cat and mouse. But it wasn't the boy that I had a crush on that I was flirting with. I was flirting with death. I went around a curve that I wasn't used to, a pin curve that wasn't marked, and I went into a skid, turned away from the skid instead of into it, hit a ditch, and flipped that car 8 times. The roof was, about right here after I had finished. It was down to the seal of the bottom of the window seal. My skull was shattered in several places. My arms were shattered from my wrist to my shoulder blades. I was messed up and then some. In fact, when they arrived, they couldn't detect a heartbeat. I was gone. They tried futilely to revive my body, and they put it in the body bag, zipped it up, put it in the life flight helicopter, past the doors, and it took me to this morgue at Herman Memorial in Houston, where my body was prepared for the casket. My parents identified my body. I was a donor on my driver's license, so they took out my non-vitals and donated them, stuffed with cotton, stapled it back together. And they were shutting the freezer door in the morgue. There had been a law passed the week before in the state of Texas stating that until someone's been dead for 24 hours, the brain monitor could not be unplugged because they found too many scratch marks the inside of the freezer doors, presuming someone has passed away too soon. As they were shutting that door, the alarm went off. And I'm not supposed to be here, yet I am. I'm the first person in medical history to come this far. The other 8 that even survived never came out of the coma or vegetative state. When the brain recovers from something like that, I had several subdural hematomas, which is bleeding on the brain, and I was in a coma for 2.5 months. The brain doesn't just jump back. I had to relearn how to do everything all over again, like walking, talking, feeding myself, and existing. I wasn't supposed to come out of the vegetative state, but I learned and I survived. With that, when I was in recovery, I was with stroke victims and Alzheimer's patients because I was too old to be with the younger, patients, the 4 and 5-year-olds. So I was put with the senior population. We connected on such a level, learning how to walk again, how to talk. Oh, James over there, he's learning how to walk on the walker again. Let's have a race down the hospital hallway. Jodie just fed herself some Jell-O. Let's celebrate in her room with the song, her favorite song. And I saw where they were coming from because I was there too. When I finally was released from the hospital, I was able to complete my senior year and graduate with my class. I just never really fit in with my peers anymore because I had another viewpoint from life. I entered the job market and was doing some hopping around and ended up at a telephone company. It was small and growing, and I got to wear many hats. Everything from sales to human resources to an emergency IVR recording artist. All this happened, and I had, for the human resourcing, I had to source insurance for the workers. I looked into it, and the insurance terms and formulas just made sense because that's how my brain could process that. I stopped working at that phone company and dove into insurance. Insurance, as by basic definition, is the transfer of risk. I had known something about Medicare being an insurance for the senior individuals I was with, and everyone wanted to avoid it like the plague because of all the law changes and all the complications. I could understand it, break it down into layman's terms, and help people get the right coverage they needed. So at that point, I started my own company, Full Hearts Medicare Advising, a non-biased advisor. I don't get commissions on pointing someone in a private direction. I help them get the best coverage for their health, finances, and for peace of mind.
So Medicare is a topic that comes up regularly in my world with personal injury settlements and negotiating claims that have future Medicare-related expenses anticipated into the future. A lot of people are very overwhelmed with the nuances of what's covered, what's not covered, what needs to be protected as far as Medicare's interest. But even before then, they got to figure out what coverage that they have and what to sign up for. And that's what I found most interesting about you. And when we started to speak when we met here locally, and you have a very interesting way of looking at things because you look at things with a whole different perspective. I think that the traumatic brain injury and the way that the neural pathways reformed gives you a very interesting perspective on problem solving. But to get excited about Medicare is something that I don't see very often. Now, I'll share that, when Medicare is involved, we bring in our experts. I am not an expert in Medicare, always knowing what coverages are going to apply and what state nuances and variables are going to be considered. But when it comes to picking a plan, it's just as overwhelming. Why don't you tell us more about how you help people navigate those choices and what wish I had known insight that you have to share with today's audience member?
I would love to. A lot of people don't understand Medicare, even though it's a national benefit, is different per state and can even differ per county that you live in. Texas and Florida offer some of the best Social Security benefits, which is why so many people retire there. Medicare is one of those benefits. Texas has 142 plan options available whenever you become qualified. Most people know of 4, maybe 5 of them. If you pick the wrong one, you can get penalized up to 80% of your medical bill. The whole bill, you can be penalized and having to pay up to 80% of it if you pick the wrong plan, or if you delay in picking that plan. A lot of people don't realize, they think they associate Medicare with Social Security, which it is a benefit. So they wait till they retire to get it. If you, every year that you wait to sign up for Medicare after you qualify, you get penalized 10% of your medical bill. You retire at 70. You'll take Social Security benefits in. You get 50% of your medical bill penalized to your account and is not covered by Medicare because you waited too long. If you qualify and sign up. It's crazy. Another thing is, a lot of people sign up for the wrong plans. They'll sign up for A and B or Part C. Part C is also known as Medicare Advantage. Part C is not funded by a single cent of the Social Security taxes you paid into, but it's completely out of your pocket. Medicare Advantage is actually the government's way of profiting off of you. It has some advantages in some situations, but a lot of people don't realize this and just pay for it because it looks better when actually they could get better coverage through the government if they just knew which plan to choose.
When is the best time to reach out to you to have these conversations?
The best time is to start planning when you turn 64. You're not qualified for that. You're qualified 3 months before your 65th birthday, but you need to get your plans into place, looking up to what runs in your family, hereditary issues will you need to look out for? What current medical situations do you have that you need to make sure that are covered? A lot of doctors don't take certain Medicare plans, so you have to be able to make sure you choose either if you want to stick with your doctor, what plan they accept, or if you need to have something covered, you need to make sure that those doctors are in your area.
Thank you, Lauren. That is amazing information. So when they're reaching out to you, all this information needs to be evaluated. What do they need to bring to have these conversations? List of their doctors, prescriptions. What makes this conversation most effective when working with a Medicare advisor?
Their hereditary family history information, their current medications, the doctors they're seeing, what procedures will need to be covered in the future that they know about. They need to bring their zip code. If they're planning on moving within the state, they still need to make sure their plan is mobile as well. It's also important to know what family members might need to be using as well. If you're the breadwinner, if you're the breadwinner in your family and you qualify for Medicare and your spouse wasn't working, and say they're as young as 52, they can qualify for Medicare as well when you do. You just have to put in the right paperwork. So bringing that information as well helps with the advising.
Wow, that is a mic drop moment. I didn't realize that was even an option. I figured everyone had to wait until the appropriate Medicare qualifying age, that a younger spouse would qualify based on the older spouse's eligibility?
Yes, and if the older spouse was the breadwinner. How many couples nowadays it's kind of getting back and forth, but how many couples, one person works and the other person takes care of the home? There's a lot of age differences in marriage now too, as that's a culturally acceptable thing. So it's not that unheard of. And if your husband is a breadwinner and he retires at 65, on your 52nd birthday, you can qualify for Social Security benefits as well.
Amazing information. And certainly, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg of things that we need to know and could know and would wish, we had known before we signed up. Obviously, this is a service that I think a lot of people would find value in. How do we go about finding you or someone of your expertise across the country? Are you available across the country? Where do we find you? That's a loaded question.
I am only licensed in Texas as we speak. I am working on my licenses in other states, but there is such a rabbit hole that I'm just focusing on Texas. You can go to my website at www.fullhearts.care, and you can find a time to speak with me, and I would love to help you with your situation. And I'm the only one I can find as an unbiased insurance advisor. I am also the only person that I know of who offers a service of Medicare unenrollment. Is actually
Unenrollment.
yes,
Okay, we got to unpack that a minute here.
unenrollment. I had a gentleman come to me and he's like, I use VA insurance. I'm a retired Marine, retired police officer. I have diabetes type 2 and PTSD. I never touch my Medicare. It just drains my Social Security check. So can you help me find the cheapest plan? I looked into it and he never touched his Medicare. Within the 8 years he had qualified, he had signed up so he could get a Social Security check, but he had never touched it because he had VA coverage paid for with the service to his country. I looked into it and I could unenroll him from Medicare so it wouldn't drain a cent from his check and he would get that benefit back. It actually took quite a process as the first 5 applications were automatically declined. Finally, I put in the right paperwork with the right wording, and I got a presence and a board, and I was able to represent him. I needed an NPN number, which stands for National Producer's Number whenever you get your insurance license, to stand for him. I gladly did, and I spoke to this board, and they discussed it and approved his Medicare unenrollment. He got the letters stating that this was a good thing. He started getting $400 per Social Security check in his pocket that he could actually use. And we are very proud for that service. I've looked online for Medicare unenrollment services, and I can't find anyone else who helps with that.
All right. So I'm going to say in the only language that I know, I love you, Lauren. This is amazing information. Thank you so much. Any final Thank you. Any final parting thoughts or comments or wish I had known words of wisdom to share today?
As soon as you qualify for Medicare, sign up immediately so you can get the best benefits that you've worked so hard for. That's either at age 65 or as soon as you receive a Social Security benefit check, whether it be from disability or a spouse. I'd love to help you, so please contact me today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your story and this really important information that we will all need to have at some point in time, whether it be for those that we are living with, love, or work with, and or ourselves. So great information. I appreciate all that you've shared today. Thanks for joining us on another episode.
Thank you.
Do you got questions? Ask Jodie so you don't have to utter the words, "Wish I had known." We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can hear all of Jodie's chats, so you don't have to say, "Wish I had known."